The Wizard of Christchurch has been fired by the local government.
Okay.
I'm 100% serious. Christchurch, New Zealand had a wizard that they were paying as an annual salary of $16,000 to every single year. And he's been getting paid it for the last 23 years, and he got fired yesterday. And his leaving quote was, "I don't give a fuck. I don't give a fuck. I'll keep doing it. They'll have to kill me to make me stop."
So he's going to go freelance now.
I don't fucking... Gavin, I read the fucking article in the news, and I was like, none of this makes any sense to me.
How do you become a... One, he's now a freelance wizard.
He's now a freelance wizard.
Which is a cool title to have. Two, what was his wizard duties in the Christchurch area of New Zealand?
I don't know if he's going to... Because I was then like, bullshit, this is like a fucking Vice article or something. Someone like an Onion. And I went and looked, he's got a Wikipedia page. The Wizard of Christchurch is a genuine, known about thing that is he was on the government payroll. 23 years he was claiming a fucking salary for that.
Did anyone notice?
What
was he doing?
Spells, potions.
What? That's not a thing.
the real problem, the real worry now is that Christchurch is quite obviously
without a wizard.
Without a wizard, so it's going to be ransacked by goblins.
Oh, it's going to be
soon.
Demon Central. Fucking get your crucifixes out, children, and wipe some goat blood above the doors because... Satan's coming.
Imagine if in a week's time...
Lucifer Safin from No Time to Die is coming for your children.
What a dumb fucking name.
Now, my other question is he similar to the wizards in America?
Wizards of
that wear the white cloaks and burn crosses.
No, not those wizards.
Not those wizards.
He's not. No, he's also not like the Wizard of Oz. He's a bona fide Gandalf-looking motherfucker with a pointed hat, a beard. He has an apprentice.
Oh, he's got an outfit. He committed to the outfit.
23 years. He had to commit, Gavin. He was getting paid to do it.
True, again. Like if the IRS comes around and you're not wearing the wizard robes, they're going to be like, "Hold on a sec, thought you were a wizard, mate."
Man. So yeah, Wizard of Christchurch has been denounced, which means, secondly, not only is Christchurch open to goblin attacks, but two, open position, isn't there?
Now, I don't know what the travel restrictions are. So how soon can you get to New Zealand?
Oh, man.
And is your wife ready to move?
I think it would be a good CV filler. Okay. What did you do in the last 5 years, Gary, to qualify for the role here at Microsoft? Well, I was AV tech in a company called Spark, dealing with tech. And for the 3 years before that, I was a wizard.
I like how casually you just drop it in.
Just gonna put it in there. Just slam it in.
I guess it's something that you want to just move through it, not let it lie. Because then if you let it lie, they're going to be like, "Do you want to explain that more?" You're like, "Nah."
Well, because you try and look it up. There's nothing. I don't know what he did. But
neither does he. Probably.
He got paid.
Let's be honest. For 23 years, he was probably just high off his face, just like. Probably doing that weird thing that all those people do and having a bunch of women over, tricking them into thinking he's something.
There's that politician in England as well. There's the Mad Raven Loony Party that every year apply for the political race.
Benhead as well.
Pay the fucking £85 entry, which I love so much that technically all you need to be in the political race in the UK is £85.
Why aren't you doing it?
I should, shouldn't
You could just go to all your quizzes, use this podcast as your platforms to push your party of...
Vote for the MMP party.
Oh no,
MMP QMGP.
This podcast wasn't successful enough to last, so I don't think it can turn into a political party that's going to have any success.
Oh man, you know who I genuinely I'm glad that we're back. This is fun. This is already a lot of fun. And it's good to be back, Meandering Movie Podcast.
Yeah, can I intro at some point?
We will. We'll get to it. But I think we'll do it straight after this, because I just want the final thing to say before we start proper is the reason we've been gone so long.
Oh, God.
Well, because it's important we address it. Uh-huh. The reason we've been gone so long is because you, the listeners, didn't fucking send any money. You fucks.
Are you calling them? This is not the way to start a new whatever this might be. It's the fucking bullshit.
Nah, fuck them.
Right, everyone.
There's your
Hello. No, I'll use something there.
It's Meandering Movies, listening to Gary, Ryan, and Gavin. It's all about films, but goes off course. Will there be arguments? Of course, 'cause everyone knows their lives are dull and they have nothing else to talk about.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Meandering Movie Podcast. That's right, the last time you heard my voice, it was a sad, melancholy situation. Fuck, I've lost my pen. Hold on. Of me being like...
Guys, we're fucking back on.
We're back.
We're already off topic and we haven't even fucking started.
Yeah, we are, I guess, kind of back. It's not like a proper back. This is just I've been trying to make this happen for so long.
I've noticed you lack of purpose. I noticed that the light in your eyes dimmed to a very faint.
And it was already quite dim.
It was already very dim, but
then it was just black.
It got scary levels.
So I was just like, "Hey Gary, I've got this idea."
And then you harassed me for months.
Well, I'm harassing all of you, and you're the only one that responded. And I live with one of the people who used to do this thing. So I guess for context, it's just me and Gary.
Hello.
Ryan isn't here, and Audio Boy aren't here. They might be in the future if we ever do anything else. Who knows? This is just something where I had an idea. I gave it to Gary. Gary was like, "Yeah, I'm keen to do that because I want to save you from the darkness."
You can save you from the dark, and also you invoked the Almighty's name.
Who's the Almighty's name?
Spider-Man.
Oh, okay, yeah. So I was going to be like, is this the wizard from the Christchurch area that I was like? I don't know.
You found religion during your lockdown time? No, man. I just watched a lot of Spider-Man.
I watched a lot of movies, and I have a lot to say. So yeah. I somehow over the last year unintentionally watched every single Spider-Man movie. And then decided, because I have no life or purpose, to rank them all.
That sounds like a great purpose.
Well,
A glorious purpose, if you will.
it depends on who you are.
I'd go on a crusade for this information.
And so, yeah, I said, Gary, of course, you love Spider-Man.
Best boy.
Yeah, like some of your favorite MCU movies, all that sort of stuff.
He's great. He's the best hero. What?
I mean, he's not, but okay.
He is the best hero. He'd beat up Batman in a fight. Mm-hmm. He'd beat up Captain America in a fight.
Mm-hmm. But you know what he didn't beat?
What?
Death when it came for Uncle Ben. Ha! Loser.
Well, but he did beat the devil himself when it came.
Was this like Mephisto did?
Yeah, he fucking.
If I have to hear one more time about fucking Mephisto,
I'm just saying.
Can I tell you how glad I am this podcast wasn't around when that WandaVision and
I'm with
stuff
you.
was going on?
I am with you though. Please, for the record, please everyone write down and take fucking note. Every single person was like, "Guys, it's Mephisto and that Quicksilver is going to be. This is the crossover event." And I was like, "Hey, everyone, no, it's not." Because they've not said that, and two, there's been no fucking mention of Mephisto. They're not just going to fucking whap out a devil from nowhere. They're going to choose a villain that they're kind of setting up, and everyone's like, "Nah, I'll be Mephisto." Because look, there's an M on this guy's forehead, and it's like, "What the fuck?" And then when it wasn't the Quicksilver and it wasn't Mephisto, everyone was like, "Oh, that's a bit shit." And I'm like, why did anyone think that?
Why did everyone sit and read it and just be like, "It's Mephisto"? And I'm just like, I don't know. One, I don't know who that is. Two, it's a terrible name. And three, I don't care. This show is
Mephisto.
Mephisto. You bum fisting. It's like, okay, mate, you need to like roll. Stan, don't know what you're doing here. Like, let's just stick with the Spider-Mans and the Hulks. But yes, I have ranked all the Spider-Man movies now, and I would like to now present what I have titled on my phone, quote,
I knew the word.
The definitive Spider-Man film rankings. Because I'm me. So I'm going to work my way from the worst to the best, and we're going to run through each film because it's just a chance for us to talk about all the Spider-Man movies. Also with Spider-Man No Way Home coming out in December, which is supposedly going to be a multiverse of all these movies coming together. So it's kind of like, it leads into that as well.
And then just kind of for the people at home, we're currently sitting, I think, at the end of the Marvel, like, building up for Spider-Man. Like, we're done now. There's nothing else. The Eternals movie's coming out.
Which is a thing I don't understand. But,
but the Eternals movie's coming out. But outside that, we've had Loki, we've had WandaVision, and the What If, which may or may not come into it, but it's all finished.
I never watched What If, but
I would, you wouldn't want to. I don't think you should watch it.
I mean, if it's like, what, 20-minute... don't care. I'm not getting into it. Other things to talk about. Spider-Man. Last bit of context before we get into the list. All the way back in episode 5 of the Meandering Movie Podcast, you said to me, Gavin, the Tobey Maguire movies are shit. They don't hold up. You're living off the nostalgia.
I said 2 holds up.
You said 2 kind of holds up, but barely.
2 gets a passing grade.
Yeah.
1 and 3 do not.
And I, living off my childhood nostalgia, were like, Gary, you are wrong. They are great, and I'm going to prove you wrong. So what? 3 years later, I finally watched them.
You've done it.
I finally watched them, and here we are. Episodes, whatever this is.
So fucking ready to stand up and punch you if, out of sheer spite, you have put Tobey Maguire Spider-Man 1 at the top of this list.
Well, let's find out, people. So, starting at number 8, the worst Spider-Man movie is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. Is anyone going to be... I should have actually asked you to guess what it was going to be.
We'll do it going forwards. We'll do it next one, I'll guess, right?
But yeah, the worst is The Amazing Spider-Man 2. What I would describe this movie as is like watching Joss Whedon's Justice League, which is, it's a whole bunch of... it's too many cooks in the kitchen. There are too many ideas. They're trying to cram in too much stuff. They're trying to set up way too much stuff.
So these and these Amazing Spider-Man films are the ones that I haven't watched. These have got the longest period for me not watching them. Right, I'm pretty clued up on the Tom Hollands. Just recently watched the Tobey Maguires, but the Andrew Garfields. But my memory of Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is we have Electro.
Yes, played by Jamie Foxx.
There's another villain.
There's a Green Goblin, played by Dane DeHaan.
Oh, fuck yeah. That's unmemorable. Jamie Foxx is like the big... they kind of know they're like equal parts, but I just distinctly don't remember the Green Goblin. Like, they're definitely more set up for the Green Goblin.
It's so poorly like introduced and set up, and literally he just flies in at the end. Spoilers for The Amazing Spider-Man 2. He causes the death of Gwen Stacy, and then he's just put in prison because they were trying to set up a Sinister Six.
And then he walks past all the Sinister Six.
Yeah, they watch like
fucking
the
shit in
Doc
the
Ock stuff, and also Paul Giamatti's in it as Rhino.
But for a minute.
So he's in the beginning of the movie, the opening of this movie. But I just like, we've not even got into the list. This movie is horrific. It's horrendous. It's an absolute fucking mess from beginning to end. There's like behind the scenes stuff of, you can see it. They tried to introduce Mary Jane Watson. They were going to have Black Cat. They had Rhino.
Yeah, because there's that girl that's dressed like with the white hair, the Felicity
Jones.
She's in school, isn't she? And it's clearly meant to be her, but it's never. They don't talk to her. She was just walking around the school halls in like a fucking
Harry Osborn's like assistant or something, and she was going to be Black Cat, and then they cut out all of the Mary Jane stuff. The whole relationship between Andrew Garfield and
Gwen Stacy,
or I guess Peter Parker, awful. They're like, they break up, and then he just follows her, and she's like, "Have you been following me?" And he's like, "Just for a couple of days, just watching you." And I'm like, "That's insane." And she goes, "Oh, that's so cute." It's like, "No, it's not. That's insane. He's just like watching you."
That's classic movie though. Classic movie. You know, say anything, standing in the rain with a boombox. Hey, I know you've told me no a million times, but here I am playing a song that I know you like because I found your house. Do you love me?
And the song choices, the montage scenes in this fucking movie of him like trying to figure out, because here's another great part about the movie. It starts off with a like born identity, like my father and mum.
Yeah, because they're not dead in this universe. Richard and May, no, not May. Richard and something. Well, mum.
Like the mum dies.
But they're not. They're you're right. They're like super spies.
Yeah, they're like super spy scientists
working for S.H.I.E.L.D.
And they're on a private jet, and a guy's trying to kill them, and they have a big fight, and they're uploading this like secret stuff. And it turns out that the father created the spiders that make Spider-Man, and they put his DNA into Peter Parker, so he's the only one that can be Spider-Man because this was all created.
I remember this bit. I didn't remember it was that like.
Yeah,
why lock down your universe like that? That's crazy.
Because it was Sony, and they were trying to be like, we want our own MCU type of thing, and that's
fucking dumb.
So it starts off with that. That's the opening to the film, and then it's Spider-Man
fighting Rhino.
But at this point, he's just Russian bad guy with tattoos.
She doesn't have the suit. The suit comes in at the end.
Yeah. And then there's one good scene in this movie, which is
I'm going to counter this, but I'll hear yours first.
Okay. There's maybe two good scenes in this film, but this one it's like a minute and a half long, and there's again an awful song choice playing. I feel like they just went onto some 14-year-old boys like
MySpace
Spotify playlist and just pressed play on like these douchey like I love her but she doesn't love me songs. You're like, okay,
because the first one's and we'll get to this, but the first one's chock full of that as well. Like that bit in the first one, and again when he's skating to the
the Coldplay song, and you're like, what are you doing?
He's just moping around with his skateboard.
Yeah, there's a 90-second scene where he is a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man, and he's like shooting around and doing Spider-Man neighborhood things, and he like helps a wee kid out, and he walks him home, and he feels like Spider-Man for like 90 seconds of the movie. And then it's just, I'm in love with Gwen Stacy, and she's leaving for Oxford, and here's 6 bad guys over here, and here's Norman Osborn, and he looks like a goblin in bed because he's got this weird deformity. You're just like, and then Jamie Foxx is on another level of fucking mental.
So this was my counterpoint to your one good scene, because my good scene, my favorite scene in the entire Amazing Spider-Man 2 is kind of less to do with the scene, and it's when Jamie Foxx first fully embraces becoming, because he gets bitten by the electric eels and shocked, which makes him Electro. Shut up.
Oh, I don't know. And it makes the gap in his teeth disappear.
So eventually he's then like, you know what? I'm hearing voices. Wait, I have electric powers. I am going to be Electro. But during that scene, and this is why this scene is incredible.
Yes, I know what
because during that scene, the composer of the music for Amazing Spider-Man 2 was like, oh, what does this need? What is this scene? What is the song in this section missing? Oh, you know what I think is missing? Jamie Foxx rapping about becoming Electro, but kind of quietly, so it's almost a whisper
rapping.
And they fucking did it. Like Jamie Foxx raps a rap about becoming Electro, but not.
I am Electro.
What the fuck? Yeah, it's insanity.
And it's playing under the entire scene, which is it's a pretty decent action scene.
Yeah,
like Spider-Man does Spider-Man-y things.
And this is the like. I'm not going to particularly argue with Amazing Spider-Man 2 being this low on the list. I'm kind of like, yeah, you know what. I think the one saving grace of the Amazing Spider-Man 2, the duo films they brought out, and it will go for the first one as well, is that they are not great movies, and everything outside of what I'm about to say kind of sucks ass. But the one thing it does really, really well is it does action Spider-Man. Like, it does Spider-Man swinging and fighting bad guys well. The action scenes, I think, are really good.
I suppose they're all right, but the problem is I was so uninvested and bored and I hated it that I then never got invested in the action stuff. I know, like, from behind the scenes stuff, when they could, they would actually have a stunt guy like swinging around and doing stuff, and they would try and do some practical stuff. But the suit looks awful.
It's not the best.
The bad guys look awful.
No, not the best.
Like, the Green Goblin looks horrific. Also,
wait, I need to remind myself, because I remember Electro. I remember exactly how Electro. And for some reason, rather than Electro being a man in green spandex with yellow lightning bolts firing off the green spandex, which has been the staple Electro look since his literal conception in the 90s, I think it was, they decided to make Jamie Foxx glow electric blue, bold as fuck, and give him a suit of some description.
Somehow he gets a suit at some point, but of course it's never explained because the movie in its 2-hour, like 10-minute runtime just crams a bunch of shit in. There's no cohesion. There's no.
I just looked up the green guy.
Look at his hair.
I forgot. Holy shit, that's bad.
And do you know why he looks like that? It's because he has a hereditary disease, and so he puts on this military suit that can, like, heal you of wounds.
You know what he looks like? He looks like the Joker.
He does look like the Joker.
I had completely forgotten how shit this looks.
Also, no offense to Dane DeHaan, who plays Green Goblin and / Harry Osborn, but stop casting Dane DeHaan in movies because he's not good. Dane DeHaan is not a good actor. Look how rough he looks.
It's the Joker. Like, do
you know what?
What he looks like? He looks like the Joker in the Arkham games when he's sick with the Bane toxin shit.
And when he first shows up, he does a Joker-like laugh. He does a kind of like thing.
That's a bad
so
look.
Bad.
That's a bad look.
And the military suit that heals him, but because the hereditary disease is so intense, it's like always fighting it off, and that's why he's got the kind of like sickly like look to him.
Dane DeHaan is a weird. let's do it. Let's just get a little bit off topic because it's the name of the podcast. It always has been. Dane DeHaan is just that weird casting choice in everything I've ever seen him in. He did well in what's the Chronicle?
Yeah,
because he's playing a weird outsider of the group who's in the group, but he's the weird kid, right? And he looks like that. Then I seen him in that Valerian and 1,000 Planets where he's meant to be this like
Han Solo,
Han Solo heartthrob, and I was like, that's not who you should have casted for this. That's crazy.
The casting for that movie is atrocious.
And then Green Goblin's the same. Like Harry Osborn's meant to be this like debonair, better than Peter Parker, smarter, more popular.
What's his name from the Sam Raimi movies?
Yeah, James Franco.
James Franco,
perfect casting there.
With the hair and everything, just looks the part.
With Dane DeHaan, it's just like, wait, so you're meant to be... So wait, the story you're telling me is that Dane DeHaan is more attractive than Andrew Garfield?
That's... Andrew Garfield looks more like what Harry Osborn should look like than Peter Parker. Because we'll when we get to Amazing Spider-Man at some point, we'll get into because that's where Peter Parker's or Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker's at its worst. Because God, but Dane DeHaan's like an emo outsider in this. Like he's got this he has the hair that Tobey Maguire has in Spider-Man 3 when he's like angry black suited emo.
That like fucking it's the emo.
And you're like, I'm so like edgy and upset and angry and I hate you and now I'm Green Goblin. Like, why? How? Okay, like. It's a mess. Yeah. The movie is a total mess. And then it ends with what I think they thought was going to be cool of like Rhino's there and he's in the street, but it's a big metal suit instead of just a big muscular guy. And
that's the next thing, right? And I gotta say, I appreciate these universes are meant to be like new takes on beloved heroes and they want to have their own thing. But the whole point of Rhino is that he's just a massive guy and he is in a suit. But when you make that suit like literal tank. He's so tiny in that suit. It's not a suit. It's almost like the Batmobile, basically. Yeah. Batmobile if you gave it legs. It's like, that's not the point. Like, you could put anyone in that. What's the point of having... he's not trapped in there. Why would anyone be trapped into that fucking suit?
Yeah, it's like...
Unless you're right, unless the setup was going to be the next one, he's like, what do you mean you can't get me out? Well, then shrink it down.
Like fuses to him or something or some bullshit like that.
Who cares?
I mean, Paul Giamatti didn't care either. He came for a paycheck and I respect him for it because he just went full like cartoonish Russian of like, I am the Rhino. You're like, okay, mate, fuck it. Here's your 100,000, thanks.
You know what? And I'm gonna lump in Jamie Foxx for this. Jamie Foxx and Paul Giamatti definitely do the what was the Rahul Julia fucking Adam Gomez.
I have no idea what you're on
the
about.
actor that plays Adam Gomez in the Addams Family Values.
Christopher Lloyd?
No, he doesn't play Adam. He plays fucking Uncle Fester, you cock.
I don't fucking know. Wow, you're so aggressive for that.
He plays Bison in Street Fighter and he knew he had cancer.
Oh, okay, yeah. I know what you mean, but I can't remember. Yeah.
Rahul
Julia something. I know what you mean, yeah, from the Street Fighter movie, yeah.
What I was getting at there is in Street Fighter when he plays Bison, he knew he had cancer. He was just like, this film's dog shit. I'm just going to chew up the scenery and I'm going to have the best time of my life.
Incredible.
And he fucking rocks it. I do feel like Jamie Foxx, and to their credit, Paul Giamatti were like, oh man, this is not a good film. I know I'm locked in, but you know what? I'll fucking roll the dice and I'll make the most of it.
I think it's also maybe the same with Andrew Garfield where there's certain scenes where like he just makes decisions that he's like, what are you doing, mate? Like, why are you...
But in Andrew Garfield's, I just feel like he's just a fucking not a great actor because
he's not really.
And I think he did better. And it's funny. I know I'm agreeing with you. Amazing Spider-Man 2 is nowhere near it. It's definitely bottom, like really far down this list. I'm okay with this. And Amazing Spider-Man 1's not great, but Andrew Garfield's acting in Amazing Spider-Man 1, to this day, there are bits of his acting I remember in Amazing Spider-Man 1 being
let's get to number 7 on the list.
What are you doing? Okay, so my guess... I think you're gonna put Amazing Spider-Man number 1.
No.
Mine would go on. Genuinely, I think my list. I think this is a hot take, and I know you hate it. I genuinely would put the first Spider-Man movie down this low.
What's Sam Raimi's Spider-Man as number 7?
1, yeah.
Well, hold on to your arse. Because number 7 on my list is The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield.
What a surprise!
Because here's the problem with this film. Obviously, Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's a mess. They tried to make it more cartoony and colourful. The problem with Amazing Spider-Man is they, for some reason, didn't, at the time, watch any of the MCU movies that were out, like the Iron Mans or whatever. They decided to watch Christopher Nolan's Batman Begins and think that's what we want to do for our Spider-Man.
We want to get gritty and real, and
it's so dark and it's so like gritty and like tries to be so realistic to the point where Andrew Garfield's Peter Parker comes off as this like edgy, I'm too cool for this douche with a skateboard.
He was they definitely made the Peter Parker in that movie what studio execs would be like, oh, make him like, you know, a kid nowadays. It's like, oh, what's a kid nowadays? Coldplay, skateboard, just graffiti.
Wakes up with bed hair that's just naturally like perfect. And he is the most attractive person in the entire room.
But his entire school hates him.
Yeah, everyone hates because he's weird, he's a dork, he's a loser for some reason.
Because he skateboards.
Andrew Garfield in this movie as Peter Parker is awful.
Terrible.
Because
Terrible Peter Parker.
He's just, again, he's like an edgy, too cool for it, like scene kid. And you're like, fuck. I would hate him if I was in that fucking movie. I'd be like, fuck off. And then for some reason, Gwen Stacy's just like, oh, come over to my house for dinner. Why? Like,
why does that happen?
So they can set up the scene between him and her father,
no,
who's the cop.
Fine, but why does it happen? Why does it happen in universe? Why is she like come around to my house for? Well,
because
do they go on a date first?
Well, at first he's all like awkward and like, oh, I don't know how to talk to you because I'm an awkward nerd, blah blah blah. Even though I'm like a fucking edgy scene kid, and then he sneaks into Oscorp. I can't remember why.
Oh, he goes into the spider room,
and then he ends up in the spider room.
That fucking scene.
Everything about how it happens.
Hey, kid, don't go away from your group. All right, cool. Instantly goes away from the group and then just watches a guy. So that bioscanner that is apparently meant to lock the room up, and you're like, oh, well, he's not getting in there. It's like a bioscanner with a fucking thumbprint and all sorts.
It's like a weird like hexagon-y
draw a shape.
Tron game or something.
Draw a shape. All right, I did it. Yeah, you're in.
He's in the top secret like spider room with
and then that room of just like, oh, what is this room? Or this, like, if you were on the tour and you finally got there, like, well, what is that room? And you had a tour guide be like, so this is the room that we put all the radioactive spiders in. If you get bitten by just one of them, you're gonna get spider powers. So you got a whole room of them? Fucking whole room of them. There are so many people down in the basement of Oscorp that have got fucking spider powers. It's insane.
I mean, the other thing about Oscorp is it's just a producer of crazy evil scientist dudes, apparently. Because they've got a whole room downstairs of like, oh, wait till the lizard guy. And then we'll get the fucking the Dr. Octopus guy. We'll get an electric guy. We'll just fucking churn. And then Spider-Man will just fight them all. It's so mental, it's so dumb.
There's also, and I do remember this vividly, a vaguely evil Asian man who appears for the first half of the movie.
Plays the same, more or less, character in Jurassic World.
Yeah. So he's just there, but at least in Jurassic World, he's like the benefactor.
Yeah.
Cool. In this one, he's like...
He's the middleman between him and Norman Osborn.
Yeah, but then he's there, and then he gets flung off the bridge by the lizard, and Spider-Man saves him. That's him. Whole movie.
Well, here's the other thing this movie does.
Never turns up again, right?
The other thing this movie does is it takes... Because, of course, the defining characteristic of Spider-Man in the beginning is Uncle Ben dies, great power, great responsibility, and he goes out. In this movie, it's almost like they forgot that Uncle Ben's supposed to die, and they went, oh, fuck, get Martin Sheen back in, because we need to film his death scene. Martin Sheen came in for the day. They went, bang, he's dead. And they went... I guess that's good enough. Let's move on now. And it's almost never thought about again, other than Spider-Man going on this Batman-like crusade to find the man who killed his uncle.
Marking off every blonde-haired
long blonde-haired guy with sunglasses, which apparently in New York is
chock full.
There is rife with shoulder-length blonde-haired guys with sunglasses stealing cars.
Stacks of them.
But the best part is... Never finds him. Never catches him.
Does he not? Wait, really?
It's never resolved. He finds 8 separate guys with shoulder-length blonde hair and sunglasses who steal cars, and none of them are the guy.
I thought,
and it just never resolves it.
To my memory, I thought the last guy was, but maybe I'm just getting all like my Tobey Maguire mixed up with my Andrew Garfield.
No, never resolved. Again, the whole Uncle Ben thing feels like an afterthought.
Also, that's the bit, and this is again big memory. That's the bit I remember being like, "Oh man, this is bad acting from Andrew Garfield." When he's cradling Uncle Ben's body, and he starts crying, and his crying face is abysmal and looks like it's just disgusting.
Especially after Tobey Maguire's crying face, which is something else.
But then, almost musically, he shouts Uncle Ben twice. And that, for some reason, that line sticks. He goes, Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben. But it's every time I think of it, I'm like, that should be a sample in a song. Like, it's so fucking good. Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben.
Into the Spider-Verse 2, that'll be like the fucking, instead of sunflowers, Uncle Ben, Uncle Ben.
Uncle Ben. Damn. You know who he is?
Everything. The other thing about Amazing Spider-Man is it's a plot point by plot point retread of Sam Raimi's.
They decided to do the origin movie again.
Yeah,
and then up until the lizard stuff,
hits all the same beats, and it's again they watched Batman Begins and thought, let's do dark, gritty edge. That movie's insanely dark.
And what's really annoying about it, actually, what's really fucking dumb about Amazing Spider-Man 2 is they try and set up the whole father figure with Doc Connor, like with the lizard. They try and do the whole, you've lost Uncle Ben, you've lost your father, but we've got this new father figure. And the whole beauty of the lizard in the comics is that he is a mentor to Spider-Man. Like, the lizard has this animalistic side that is a villain, but Doc Connor is very much on the side of good and like regularly works with Spider-Man. Like, they're and is a father figure.
Something Sam Raimi's films were in the works to set up.
Yeah. But in this one, it's just like father figure and bad guy, and then we're going to get rid of him. Next movie, don't worry about the lizard. It's
just like he becomes a lizard, and then he's just like, no, everyone has to be a lizard. You're like, why? He's like, because they're better. You're like, are they though? Like,
yeah, that's a real because actually, I'd never thought, because in the comics, the talking, human intelligence lizard doesn't come in for fucking ages. At the beginning, he is just an animal, and it's a counterpoint to Doc Connor's like genius intellect. He becomes a literal animal, like doesn't give a fuck about anything, uncontrollable.
Doesn't use.
But in this one, he's like, no, I'm a lizard, and I'm also super smart, and now I want everyone to be lizards.
And he does that.
That's like the more I think about it now, I'm
and
like, what the fuck was that? He does the
monologuing to himself of just like, they need to be lizard. This is, and like that evil guy. If there's no one around for me to tell my plan, so I just need to monologue about what my plan is to the camera, and I'm just like,
just mutter.
Also, this sets up the whole Dennis Leary thing because he plays Gwen Stacy's dad. He dies at the end of the movie. And then it's Amazing Spider-Man 2 shows up as a moral ghost for Spider-Man to not hang out with his daughter. And it's, again, not set up, never pays off, not explained. Both these movies are just, here's ideas. Don't know what we're going to do with them. Anyway, see you later.
It's kind of weird how much the Tom Holland Spider-Mans have kind of taken from the Andrew Garfield. Now that I'm thinking about it, because that whole scene with the police chief and Gwen Stacy and Andrew Garfield, where he's like, Spider-Man's a menace. He's like, well, I don't know, sir. He's kind of a pretty cool guy. Is not beat for beat, but thematically very similar to when the Vulture meets Peter Parker. And Parker realizes it's the kind of the opposite though. Like Parker realizes he's the Vulture, but then the Vulture doesn't, and then eventually it comes out. But it's you know what I mean, like quite similar in vibe.
Well, it's interesting you talk about that because next.
So I've just figured out as well before you ruin your list. I think my list very quick because we're already 2 movies in, right?
Yeah, we have to pick up the pace.
My list goes like this, right? And after this, we won't need to worry about guessing. You just tell me. My list goes, I think, Amazing Spider-Man 2. Then for me, it is the original Spider-Man, right? Which I know is a hot take, but for me, I watched that film recently and I was like, fuck me, this film doesn't hold up. Like, there is so much wrong with it. And it's just crazy. And like, yeah, I think if you kind of just lean into how crazy those movies are, fine. But that first one for me is
we'll get to it.
It's just stinky. Then Amazing Spider-Man 1. Then for me, it goes, I think, Amazing Spider-Man 3. Not Amazing Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man 3 with Venom and Sandman and all that shit. So those are my bottom of the pile, right?
Okay.
Then, and this is going to be the interesting bit for you, and I think you're going to be happy to hear this. I think Spider-Man Far From Home is next on my list.
Interesting.
It's a lot lower after a rewatch recently than I originally. Like, I came out of the cinema, and you can go back and listen to that episode. I came out and I was like, I fucking loved it. It was great. And I think on first watch it is, but on second watch, there's a lot that doesn't hold up. Then, what have I got left? I got Spider-Man Homecoming, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Verse.
Yeah.
I think after that, it for me goes Spider-Man 2, Homecoming, and Spider-Verse top of the list.
Interesting.
So that's my very quick. Now going forwards, anyone who, like when we get to it, you hear my reaction, it'll be like, oh, okay, cool. We should have done that at the beginning.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Have we ever been good at this?
No, we're terrible. That's why we quit.
Well, you quit. I didn't. So yeah, we've had number 8, Amazing Spider-Man 2, number 7, Amazing Spider-Man. At number 6 is Spider-Man 3. shouldn't come as much of a surprise.
Yeah.
A lot of people would probably put that. Here's the thing about Spider-Man 3 and why I think a lot of people would put it at the bottom, because it's so memeified at this point.
Yeah.
It's the one everyone thinks of immediately and goes to when it comes to bad Spider-Man movies.
And it is funny though, because for me, like I've just said, it doesn't feel as bad as Spider-Man.
Yes.
There's a lot wrong with it.
Yes.
There's a lot wrong with it.
So much wrong with it.
But it is really crazy. It's mad. It's following on a trilogy. And I had this theory, and I've said this multiple times. The next Spider-Man film Sam Raimi would have done would have been fucking incredible.
Yes.
Because it would have just... All of the Spider-Man and Peter Parker building up to, he becomes the hero, then he loses faith as the hero, then he becomes the villain before eventually rising as the hero. That's your classic hero arc in pretty much every long form heroes. That's a classic hero arc. But in pretty much everything else, what comes after that is when the writers can be like, oh, cool, we don't have to worry about Peter Parker's
done all the,
character, Spider-Man's character.
Basic setup.
So we can just go fucking nuts. And that's where Spider-Man 3 was ending.
Spider-Man 3 has the benefit of the two movies before it, which means we have all these established characters now. We have our established universe, so we can just kind of we can get in there and mess about. Unfortunately, the studio stepped in and fucked with Sam Raimi's vision because they wanted toys, Venom, all that shit. I mean, you can tell Venom wasn't in Sam Raimi's.
It was a fucking afterthought.
Because it comes from nowhere. It's there for 2 minutes and then it's gone. But what I'll say about Spider-Man 3, the first two acts are clunky, disjointed, but I think that's because of studio interference.
Yeah.
They're solid though. They
are a hell of a lot of fun.
They still work. Yeah, they still work. Like all the Sandman stuff and everything. It's with Uncle Ben, a much more emotional story that I really thought if that was the focus of the film, it could have really worked. But once the black suit happens and once Eddie Brock and Venom become one, it just that final act is like a hard left turn with, yes, of course, Tom Hardy's Venom. It's a hard left turn with him doing the whole walking in the street, pointing at girls. I don't think Sam Raimi told the extras how to react because every single girl acts differently when he points at them. Then there's a scene where he goes to a cafe or a restaurant in which Mary Jane's singing at, just fucking decks her, which is mental.
It's like Spider-Man in his... Sorry, I'm rubbing my face.
You're rubbing your temples.
So much to go over. And it all kind of builds up to the Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man was was on Fox Kids before with the animated series, right? And he was in this really weird spot where in the comics, Spider-Man, when he got the black suit, went violent. He went real fucking bad. I think, did he kill a guy? He got to the point where he almost killed. He was brutally maiming at the very least. And that's when Peter Parker's like, holy shit, I have to get this off of me because I'm not me anymore. And it's this, it's this realization because it's a slow burner because it's multiple comics up to that point. And then in the Spider-Man cartoon, because they couldn't show punching or even guns in that, so it gets real fucking simplified down.
Guys with bats and stuff.
And you never actually see a punch get thrown in the Spider-Man cartoon because Fox Kids were like, no, that's not allowed on our channel.
He's doing swinging kicks.
So he doesn't. I don't think there's ever a connection. I think it's anytime he fights a bad guy, they grapple. Or he webs them. That's it, though.
Or it shoots webby bullet shit.
But there's never a punch. It's always a grapple or... Which, punching is Spider-Man's thing.
Yeah.
So Spider-Man 3 came after all of that, and they had to fit all of that history of the black suit in there, but also had this weird overhang, I think, from the Fox cartoon where it was but we can't go too crazy because it's still meant to be a 12... I mean, the whole 12A fiasco of Spider-Man anyway. It still needs to be a kid's film. So you get left with this weird... middle ground where he beats his fucking girlfriend, but also dances, and that's how they show he's gone evil. What the fuck?
And has the emo swept over hair,
he dyes his hair black,
and he's mean to everyone, and he's just
but he's not mean. He's like a teenager.
He becomes Peter Parker is a teenager, so it's the closest Tobey Maguire came to being a teenager.
It's nuts.
Yeah, it's so weird. The film. It's going in a direction for so long, and then I feel like the studio interfered so much that Sam Raimi was just like, do you know what? Fuck this.
Fuck it.
I'm not coming back to do this ever again. I'm just going to Sam Raimi the fuck out of this. And he went full off the rails Sam Raimi. And yes, it's bad, and it's a shame that that's the way that trilogy ended.
Yeah.
But looking back on it now, when I was just watching it, I was like, this is stupid and fun.
It is and I think that's why I rank it so high because and like I've already said, my Spider-Man 1 goes lower than that because I don't think they knew what they were doing enough. I think they were trying a lot of different things, but they didn't have the world building, they didn't have the characters known enough. Where Spider-Man 3 does all that, and it is stupid and fun. Whereas for me, rewatching that first Spider-Man film, I just think it's a fucking slog, man.
Oh, I don't know. Well, I mean, we'll get to it.
We'll get to it. But I'm with you. Yeah, like so far, I'm not too upset by your list.
Just the final fight scene in Spider-Man 3, where it's like, so Harry Osborn is like a Green Goblin-y character.
Well, he becomes like the new Goblin, doesn't he? Basically.
Yeah, but he rides a surfboard, which is awful. Has a laser sword, awful. Has a weird scar. The butler comes in and goes, "Oh, I know everything that happens in this house. I knew your father was the Green." I don't know what that voice was. But I knew your father was the Green Goblin. It's just like, and Harry's just like, "Well, you knew the whole fucking time." You didn't say it. Again, a retconny thing. I feel like they're like, "Oh fuck it, just say the butler knew." The whole end of fight scene with the big Sandman, the Venom, Mary Jane's up, rubbish. It's so boring. It's rubbish. And then Venom and Eddie Brock just get blown up and Harry gets stabbed with his own surfboard.
Sorry, the more I'm thinking about this, can I put my Spider-Man 1 higher? Because I've just remembered Willem Dafoe. Like I've just remembered how much I dislike that film, but how much Willem Dafoe just claws so much of it back.
Which is something we're going to get to when we get to.
Like just thinking about it there, I'm like, yeah, man, James Franco's Goblin was nuts. You know what was a great Green Goblin? Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin was so fucking good. He was so fucking good.
So next on the list.
Next on your list.
Number
so
5.
far we've had Spider-Man
Amazing
2,
Spider-Man 2, The Amazing
Spider-Man 1,
Spider-Man 3,
Spider-Man 3.
And now we have Far From Home. Because
I'm with mine got dunked like a lot lower.
What happened was everyone was still living off the high of Endgame.
Yeah.
And we're like, we have a new, this is post
And
Endgame.
then everyone was like buzzing for the next movie.
And it being Spider-Man as well. Everyone's like, everyone loves Spider-Man. Spider-Man's back. Here we go. All went to the cinema. I remember watching that movie. Yes, I was drunk when I watched it, but I still remember most of it. But I also realised that when I rewatched it this year, I was like, I've never seen this scene before because I was at the toilet because I'd drank so much. That movie is so joyless, I feel. It's just, and I get why, because it's come off of Endgame, Iron Man's dead, Peter Parker's like trying to figure out, again, it's like, do I want to be an Avenger? Blah, blah. I don't care if you want to be an Avenger. Oh, I don't want to be neighbors. I want to go to Europe. All the Europe stuff.
He just wants, I just want to fucking be a regular kid for a bit.
Yeah, I hate it all. And it's like, I'm doing the high school shit. I hate it. It's joyless. The whole time is in Europe and just like cutting about Italy and stuff. And it's Venice and stuff. Venice. Just like, bleh. And then it's not until, when would it be?
I think my take on it after the rewatch was like, the beginning does suck balls. Like the beginning is, you're right, kind of just so fucking like it just feels like it's kind of treading water, and it's setting up all the post Endgame Iron Man shit, and all of that stuff's kind of like And you're right. At the time, I think I was a lot more invested, but after the rewatch, I'm kind of like, once Endgame done, I was like, I kind of just was happy with it finishing there. Like, so you get it all, but then and like the bits I do like of Far From Home though is when the reveal of Mysterio, and like he's gonna be a bad guy, but when he's in that bar and then he gets the glasses, and you're like,
that's when the film comes together.
Thanks, Peter, you're doing a good thing here. And he walks out, and then like Jake Gyllenhaal's sitting there, and he's just, this grin appears in his face, and he's like,
great casting.
We got it. And he like, the fucking bar comes down, and there's only 5 people, and then he does his whole monologue, and you're like I knew that was coming the entire time, but the way they do it was still a nice surprise. You know, I knew Quentin Beck was going to be the bad guy, but I was like, oh fuck, this is really good.
Yeah, you're like, how are we going to get to him being the bad guy? Is he going to be inspired to be the bad guy in this film, or is he already
is he the bad guy? Like, fuck.
When
all of that was
that's
really
when that movie
enjoyable.
Comes together and alive. I feel the only reason I was very close to putting this below Spider-Man 3.
Wow.
Yeah, because Spider-Man 3, it's fun. It's all established.
So yeah, okay.
But it's the first act and a half of this film is
a struggle.
Boring. When he's like on the bus and the girl's like, take your clothes off, and they try and do the whole like, oh, I'm going to tell Mary Jane and stuff. I'm like, I don't care.
That drone sequence where he's
awful.
like, oh, can we stop and send him that photo? He's like, do you want to execute Jay Part, whatever the fuck, Jay Richmond? And he's like, then someone's like, no, cancel that. And then he accidentally punches someone. He said, did you just punch me? He's like, do you want to cancel that or execute? And he's like, no, I didn't punch you. And he's like, no, accepted. And it's like,
Yeah.
like, fuck. So Iron Man's borderline sentient AI
Yes.
that he gave to a child is about to let him drone strike a bus full of children.
Yes.
Fuck off.
It's so dumb. So dumb. And it also plays into the whole Peter Parker, Mary Jane stuff in this movie of like, I'm going to tell her I love her and here, and we're going to go on a walk. It's like, it's so awkward. I hate it.
Yeah.
I hate it all.
It tried to do what Homecoming does really well, which
Yes.
is that teenage romance. Like they're teenagers, but there's a romance, but actually teenagers don't really know the meaning of romance and they just kind of fancy the fuck out of each other. And it tries to kind of keep that going, but it doesn't land anywhere near as much. I do like the scene where she's like, yeah, well, I know what you're going to tell me. And he's like, you do? And she's like, yeah, you're Spider-Man. And he gets all flustered, right? I kind of like that because then he's on the back foot and it's enjoyable.
and it changes the dynamic.
Yeah. And then he's like, fuck, I didn't think, She's like, wait, you actually are Spider-Man? And I was like, it's cool that she just bluffed.
Yeah.
There's a few moments that are really nice in it, but
Zendaya is great casting.
yeah,
for Mary
Zendaya's
Jane.
she's on the flip side of the coin of stop casting Dane DeHaan, put Zendaya in fucking everything.
Throw it in. I love her kind of sarky, like, see, she does the whole edgy I don't care thing well because
Yeah.
it plays off of Peter Parker's like kind of
Naive.
wide-eyed naivety of like, I love
like,
everything.
cloying.
Yeah. But yeah, the final act and everything, like the whole Mephisto stuff when like he tricks Peter Parker. Mysterio. Sorry. I've just got Mephisto on the mind,
You just got fisted on the brain,
And,
boy.
I'm doing later tonight. Yeah, the whole Mysterio stuff when like he does the whole illusions and fucks Peter Parker and he's in the snow globe and everything. I was like, this is fucking amazing.
All those scenes are fucking great, and I really like the fact you watch Mysterio. Like he's crazy at the beginning, but you actually just watch him go. You literally watch the power go to his head, which is a nice cat. So you don't watch him like he's not crazy and stays that level. He ramps up the crazy, and it's not unwarranted. Like he ramps up the crazy because he suddenly realizes, oh, cool, I actually can do whatever the fuck I want. I have the glasses and I have a team. And I know I said we're all, and it's that moment which I fucking love was when he's like, it's us, we are a group. And then later on when he's like, turn off the fucking thing, and they're like, you sure that's like dangerous? He's like, I said turn it off.
Yeah.
Get my cloak ready.
Yep.
And you realize that he like, and everyone in the room realizes like,
Power's
oh
going to
shit,
his head.
he's crazy. Like, fuck, we're working for this was meant to be like a little bit of petty revenge, but we're actually working for a madman.
Yeah, and Jake Gyllenhaal plays it so well.
Oh,
Such
he's
good casting.
So good. So good.
And then like the whole stuff of like Spider-Man being beat down, has to come back, gets on the plane with them,
with,
happy, builds his suit, has all that kind of stuff. The final act, Happy like tries to throw the shield, and it's like, how did Cap do it? And like, and
there's some nice like fucking fan servicey bits.
like
and
it's a good like way to end the movie, and it comes together in the end, thankfully. And then of course, the best thing about the entire movie is J. Jonah Jameson, J.K. Simmons is back.
Yeah,
someone we will be talking
cool.
about soon because holy fuck. He might be the best thing about every single Spider-Man movie. I'm so glad he's back.
And we talked about this off mic, over text. Like, shout out and fair play, and I do really, really like this. When you rewatch that movie, I like that there's a lot in there to pick up the second watch, right? If you know what's going to happen, you can pick out the Mysterio bad guys watching Peter in the group the entire time.
Yes.
There's a lot of that, but the thing that I love the most, the one thing they've put in there, which is, I think, brilliant, Sam Jackson's portrayal of Nick Fury, which isn't actually Nick Fury. It's actually Sam Jackson's portrayal of Ben Mendelsohn's Skrull playing what he thinks Nick Fury is to S.H.I.E.L.D. is great because you watch it the first time, and I remember in the cinema being a bit like, oh man, Nick Fury, like he's doing Nick Fury, but he seems a bit
off.
It kind of, like off, like does Sam Jackson just not care anymore? And then the reveal happens, and I'm like, oh shit. So you rewatch it, it is a perfect portrayal of a Nick Fury that the Skrulls think is Nick Fury. Like it's over the top and kind of baked in some area. Like it's just this perfect mix, and I was like, that's good. That's real fucking good.
It's someone doing a performance of what they think someone is like and not always hitting the mark.
Of thing. Yeah. Like it's
so good.
It's so good because it's I don't want to fucking go on about that forever, but if you rewatch it, guys, that fucking performance is dynamite. It's played so well.
And now next on our list.
Okay, so we have, what do we got left? You got Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 1, you got Homecoming and Spider-Verse.
So number 4 on the list is Spider-Man, Sam Raimi's Spider-Man.
so far our lists haven't been that different.
Not too crazy.
I'm like, I can't. At this point, I'm like, you know what? I don't think anything you can say is going to piss me off too much.
Well, we'll see. Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man still fucking holds up.
It fucking doesn't.
It absolutely does. But with this, with some of these caveats, it's hokey, it's sloppy.
Yep.
Some of the lines of dialogue are like they're just like the opening of the movie. Tobey Maguire, Peter Parker's like voiceover of just is bad. I was like, I remember sitting down like, here we go, I'm going to prove Gary wrong. This is going to be great. And then I press play and it starts with that opening monologue. I went, oh fuck, I might be in trouble here. Because I was just like, ooh, this is not good. Like, it's just the way it's written is bad, the way it's delivered is bad.
Isn't it? What's the opening monologue is him being like, I'm like a regular guy, and there's the girl that I love.
Hey, I'm Peter Parker. You may wonder how I got here, type of shit.
And then it's like, and there's the girl I really love.
Yeah.
But that's not me next to her. And it's like, oh my God, who wrote, like, who thought this was a good intro?
Bad.
But it's of the times as well, weirdly.
It's good schlocky Sam Raimi for 2004. Also, they had no blueprint to run off of. This is Sam Raimi being like...
And that's credit where credit's due. He went in trying it like fairly new. In fact, pretty much like...
Because had we had X-Men yet, or did X-Men come after?
I feel like we had X-Men afterwards. We had Blade, though. But Blade's a whole fucking...
Blade was a whole different beast. It's like, holy fuck. That movie opens with a blood shower, like, dance scene. This movie opens with, hey, I'm Peter Parker, and blah, blah. I'm chasing a bus, and hey, stop the bus, and it gets on. It's just like...
Imagine being a bus driver in America and
being
like,
that awful to a 35-year-old man chasing after your bus. Imagine that.
I know I'm meant to drive these kids to school, but I really fucking hate that kid. You know that one kid that sits and doesn't say anything to anyone because he's clearly already a fucking loser? I'm going to make his life worse.
Also, the kid eating the jam donut, or I guess if you're American, jelly donut, and all the jam just goes bleh out of the donut. You're like, mate, have you never eaten a donut before? What the fuck are you doing?
That film is filled with so many pieces of like iconic cinema. Iconography of like a scene of someone biting a donut and it comes out the other side to show how gross he is, and it's like that has no bearing on anything. You just put it in because it's, you know what it feels like, that film. It feels like what Joss Whedon makes now.
Yes.
Like he knows all the things that make a movie, but you don't need to put them all in. But he's just gonna cram them in there. He's gonna fit every fucking one in there.
Because the way Joss Whedon works, I'm surprised there wasn't a scene where a guy fell into a woman's breast. Because just like Joss Whedon loves doing that every movie.
But you're not wrong. Like, it's surprising that didn't happen at some point. Like, it's.
But now what we have to talk about is
the good.
This 35-year-old... Well, I want to talk about Tobey Maguire's portrayal of Peter Parker / Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Because Andrew Garfield, a terrible Peter Parker, a decent Spider-Man. We'll talk about Holland more when we get to Homecoming. Mm-hmm. But Tobey Maguire looks like he's a 35-year-old man, is in high school. I want to say he does maybe the best Peter Parker. It's him and Tom Holland are obviously... Because they tried different approaches.
Yeah,
But I think Peter Parker does dorky, loser...
He does
Peter
do
Parker
best very well, Tobey Maguire, and it's he's got the face for it as well.
Yeah.
He's so fucking smackable. That entire trilogy. Anytime he's on screen, being his like, oh hey MJ, I just wanted to give you this little box of chocolates. You're like, fucking just shut the fuck up, Tobey Maguire.
So good as Peter Parker. I'm just like down and out, like loser, getting like pushed around and. Mm-hmm. But that stuff.
Counterintuitively, and it's a problem, he never stops being that for 3 films.
Yes. When he is Spider-Man, he's still like, I'm still like dorky and sad. You're like, no, you're
Spider-Man. You're meant to be fucking awesome.
He has a couple of moments like when he's going up against Doc Ock or something. He'll have like a good one-liner. But
his one-liners do suck ass as well.
Also, the other problem I've realized is anytime he's in the Spider-Man suit, all of his ADR'd his voice because his jawline doesn't move. His head is just this stable. He looks like a mannequin talking. I'm just like, hey, MJ. And it's just like, there's no movement. And I'm just like, it's weird. Anytime he talks and the mask doesn't move, it makes me uncomfortable.
There's a lot of that in those, especially that Spider-Man one. There is so many just, like you rewatch it. and I know it's a fucking meme, but that scene where he's swinging with Mary Jane, and it's a mannequin.
It's an actual mannequin.
And they've just put fucking Kirsten Dunst wrapped around it, and it's like, why couldn't you get anyone? It didn't have to be Tobey Maguire, but put someone in the suit.
Get like John the key grip guy in, and just fucking like put him in the suit and stand him there.
It's crazy.
It's again, Sam Raimi. This movie, Sam Raimi, is great. It's schlocky, it's hokey. I want to talk about the scene where Green Goblin shows up at the big balloon festival thing, and they have I can't remember the singer's name, I don't know, but they have like an actual singer, and she's like doing a song and stuff, and everyone's walking around, and Peter Parker's taking pictures, and you've got Harry and Mary Jane up in the
in the little
thing.
board of directors, and the Green Goblin
balcony that's fucking 19,000 stories high. It's the highest thing I've ever seen in my life, and they've got big balloons, and then the Green Goblin comes in,
and he throws that bomb that blasts through skin, clothes,
but not bones,
not bone, and not any of the rocks surrounding it.
No,
just organic matter to a point.
It's Sam Raimi's Evil Dead perfection of just like like the skeletons even go and then like fall apart. It's incredible. And the way Green Goblin, like the laugh that fucking Willem Dafoe does.
Willem Dafoe holds that film together.
Willem Dafoe and J.K. Simmons are this
J.K. Simmons
movie.
is great as well. He's underutilized in that first. He's still great, but he's not in it enough.
True.
Like, he's good fun in that first one, but he's not in it enough.
In both 1, 2, not as much 3. I guess 3 as well, with the whole like the shaking desk buzzer thing. He's like, it was like, take your pills. Not those ones. I laughed out loud every single time J.K. Simmons was on screen.
He's really good.
He's incredible.
He's got the character down. He's like, that's Spider-Menace. The bit where he's wearing the Spider-Man suit in Spider-Man 2.
Well, it's like a deleted scene.
Is that a deleted scene?
Yeah.
I thought I was in there.
No, it's not in there.
Did I just look at that? Did I watch that afterwards?
Yeah,
that explains that then.
But yeah, he is like, some of his lines of just like, you're fired, get out. And then he walks out, where are you going? Come back, I want these things. And it's like,
these.
Oh, he's so
and then
good.
He doesn't, like, and it's cool when he doesn't sell out Spider-Man. When the Green Goblin's like, you get Spider-Man's photos, and it's like, the whole time he's meant to be like, it's Spider-Menace, but he's actually just like a softie and he really likes, and does like, it kind of implies he knows that Spider-Man's Peter Parker, or Peter Parker's Spider-Man.
Yeah.
But he doesn't outright say it, you know what I mean?
He's so incredible.
But then the best performance.
Willem Dafoe's
I'm
Green
something
Goblin
of a scientist myself.
It's just like everything he does in that film is just... We're
gonna go back to formula.
It's like 2 moves beyond what it needs to be, and it's great. Like, there's the scene where he's getting strapped into like the machine for the first time, and it comes down and he goes, oh, it's cold. Yeah. It's so unnecessary. And it's just like, you don't expect your big villain to go, oh, it's cold.
I love it as well, because when you watch that film, like that scene, and he's like, oh, it's cold, and you watch it, and it's like, they're not even, they're so fucking far away from his skin. It's like
nowhere near him. And then like, and he's sitting in that suit, or he's sitting in the like the smoky machine thing, just going, just fucking shaking his life out. Like, he's gonna have shaking baby syndrome. He's gonna die. He's gonna be mental. And then he jumps out and does the whole like cat thing, and then like jumps, and like it cuts to black, and like the laughy, that like the kind of jokerishy laugh, and like when he's in the suit and he's like, I've got this voice now, I'm the great. He's just like, whoa, you're going for it.
It's great.
And I
it
love
is great, and he plays the villain very, very well, and it's good. And when he's got Peter Parker in his house and he's doing dinner, and it's like, there's just a lot. There is just a lot. Like, Willem Dafoe is a lot to like in that movie.
I mean, there's literally a scene where he's caught Spider-Man. He has him on top of a roof, tied up, and there's like this wee great thing, and he just kind of like falls down, leaning next to it, and goes, hey, that's Spider-Man. And at no point decides to, like, could rip the mask off and be like, I know you are. He's like, yeah, we could be friends and stuff, and then fucks off. And just like, and then of course, the finale to the film is great, where it gives him that moral conundrum of save the girls, save the kids. He saves them both. Green Goblin fucks like, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us. And then they're throwing bricks and fucking pipes because it's New York and they're mental. And then they have the most violent fight out of nowhere in an abandoned castle where Peter Parker or Spider-Man or Tobey Maguire just gets fucked up, and it's slow motion, like it's
bizarre. It's really weird choices in the end of that film.
It just becomes so bloody and violent, and like And it's messed up. And then Willem Dafoe's death of just like killing himself. It's great. The movie, and then
again, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. I don't know if this is going to get into the episode or not, but he is a fucking lunatic. Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is like J. Jonah Jameson, like the Spider Menace. That is actual Tobey Maguire's Peter Parker. He doesn't understand murder's bad, which we spoke about. For anyone, if it doesn't get into the episode, a very quick recap. When he kills the fucking guy that killed Uncle Ben, he tells Aunt May quite proudly, "Oh, I got him." And Aunt May's like, "That's not good." And
also tells him many years later.
Oh yeah, shit. And then when he fucking lets the Green Goblin die, like he's got spider sense and he could have done something.
Yes. Also, Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, and all of them are bad for it. Tom Holland's Spider-Man's bad for it, and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man's bad for it. But Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is the worst at keeping his identity secret from anyone ever. Because they're like the scene in the school when he's fighting Flash and he's just jumping around and he's doing all this shit.
He fucking doesn't give a shit. Like,
and then he's just like, his mask is off all the fucking time. And obviously, like Spider-Man 2, and like an entire train of people see him.
He's a hero.
He's just like, and he's just running around doing Spider-Man shit all the time. And I'm just like,
doesn't give a fuck.
How do you have?
I at least like in the Tom Holland ones in the MCU, they've kind of been like, we're not.
We've done the whole I am Iron Man thing.
You know, like who gives a shit really? Like his Aunt May knows, Happy knows, Ned
Just
knows, MJ knows. Like they all fucking know. Anyone that matters knows, and that way we can not have to worry about it.
I just love how quickly everyone finds. All the time, everyone finds out. Harry finds out in the second one. Doc Ock finds out.
It's a problem in superhero films, though, because a genuine issue. It's a fucking Justice League movie, which I rewatched recently as well. The Snyder Cut. I say recently; it was a couple of years ago, not years, months. But at one point in that Snyder Cut, I'm 90% sure Aquaman just shouts like, "Oh yeah, you're Bruce Wayne, the Batman," to an entire village full of people. Yep. Amy Adams is constantly fucking saying like Clark Kent,
police
from the
officers
Daily
are all
Planet.
over the place.
All
Like,
over
Clark,
the
come
fucking
back.
joint. And I'm sure Alfred names Batman as well in front of someone at one point.
Bruce
Bruce. Batman, when he's trying to fucking like scare the guy to summon the parademon, because it just names Alfred, and then the bad guy's is like, it doesn't happen, but surely the bad guy would be like, "Wait, Alfred? Like, who the fuck are you talking to?"
like, who is this Alfred?
Makes no attempt to fucking hide. Anyway, right, we need to move on because we are spending a lot of time on these movies. I mean, I'm enjoying this.
I'm
enjoying you.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man. Next up, number 3 on the list. I look.
No, sorry, I didn't think you were listening.
Oh, what did you say?
You look good.
Okay, thank you. That's not true, but thank you. Number 3 on the list is Homecoming.
Okay, I can see that.
Yeah.
I know what's going to be number 1, and I'm okay with it.
Or do you?
If it's not Spider-Man, I'm going to get up. I'm going to hit you.
You're just going to leave. Just walk out of it. Well, everyone, that's the end. That truly is the end of the Meandering Movie Podcast.
Okay, Homecoming.
I remember watching it in the cinema and being like, I don't give 2 fucks about this high school drama shit. I rewatched it again some point this year. I still don't give 2 fucks about the high school drama shit. But Tom Hall's incredible casting.
Yeah.
The dynamic between him and Ned, great.
Yep.
What's his name? Michael Keaton as Vulture.
Fucking phenomenal.
Outstanding.
So good.
And then having Iron Man there as his like Uncle Benish like
his father figure
character, his father figure. Great. Everything about the movie just works.
It's a great, and I know you were saying you don't give a shit about the high school drama thing, but I think the reason that it all comes together and it holds together so fucking well is because it leans into that high school drama. And we've spoken about this plenty of times before on the podcast, but the scene, and it fucks me off that they had to explain the joke so fucking obviously. They can't, like when he's going through the backyard and it's doing the Ferris Bueller bit, and then it pans out and you see him go, he does like 3 gardens. And I was like, oh, sick, yeah, Ferris Bueller, this is great. And then it shows you the clip from Ferris Bueller, and it's like, look, if in case you didn't know, there's the reference. And it was a bit like, but like it's channeling that Ferris Bueller, like 80s high school energy, the whole film. And I fucking love it for that.
Obviously, what I'll say is, I don't care about the high school drama stuff, but I understand.
I'm understanding.
I understand it and accept why it's there, and I get why it has, because he's your friendly neighborhood teenage Spider-Man, and he looks like a teenager. He doesn't look a 35-year-old man or a 29-year-old edgy dick.
Yeah.
He actually looks like
He looks the part.
a kid.
He looks like he's meant to be at high school. And you know what? When you're in high school, that shit's important. You know what I mean? Like, it does a good job of being like, this shit is important to kids. Like,
But it's also, again, we can never get the balance. Tom Holland is a really good Peter Parker. Don't think he's a great Spider-Man. I think he's just too dorky and...
I think he's a good Spider-Man. My only gripe with him as a Spider-Man, because I think they've nailed. They're getting there. You're right, actually. He's not 100% perfect, but they're getting
awful and Far From Home.
They're getting there.
Not awful, but he's pretty naff and Far
I think
From
the
Home.
problem is that when he's quipping as Spider-Man, it never feels like he's committed to his quips. Like his one-liners don't feel like. It always feels like he's saying the one line like, "Oh, watch out! I don't like bullets either." Which I know. Sorry, guys, I'm not good at quipping. I'm not Spider-Man. Fuck off. But my point being,
so
like,
aggressive to the people.
What if they're listening? They're idiots.
Wow, no, you're not. I love you.
But my point being, like, when he says that line, like, bullets aren't my favorite, whatever. It doesn't sound like he's saying it like he means it. He always sounds like he's saying it, and it's kind of like,
it's just
but I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say
it
that.
popped into his head, and he's just kind of like, here it is.
It doesn't feel like a straight, solid quip.
Though one of the things Homecoming also has that Far From Home has, which I find annoying, which is that Spider-Man doesn't feel like he's getting to be Spider-Man, because there's always this bigger, because it's the MCU obviously, and this is film 49 out of 60.
Yeah.
It's like it has to be this bigger thing. So in Homecoming, it's all about, when am I going to be Avenger?
Yeah.
When's Tony going to make me the Avenger? I want to be the Avenger. Fuck the neighborhood. I want to be an Avenger. I'm going to go out of the neighborhood and do Avenger things. And I'm like, just for one. And of course, with No Way Home, there's no chance he's going to do any friendly neighborhood Spider-Man stuff. It's just like, just let him be Spider-Man.
I like it. Homecoming, I'm like, you know what? I get it. He's a kid. He's looking at the Avengers. They're his fucking heroes, and he wants to be one of them. And when he gets his chance in Civil War, and then it like kind of bleeds in, he's like trying to. And the message of the film where he's like, he learns that actually, like, you know, the whole point of that is if you can't be Spider-Man without the suit, you can't be Spider-Man. And it's the bigger message. If you can't be Spider-Man without being an Avenger, you can't. Like, you have to learn how to be yourself. First.
Drake said it started from the bottom, and now we're here.
Exactly. However, you're right. In Far From Home, it is lost. It's completely lost in the entire MCU build up, like bigger thing. I like it in Homecoming. I don't think it lands anywhere in Far From Home.
Yeah, I can accept it. And again, with Homecoming, I can accept what they're doing and go along with it. It's just personally what I kind of would have preferred. With Far From Home, it's like after Endgame, they needed to roll it back and just fucking stick him in that neighborhood and do something that isn't traveling across Europe.
Yeah.
Ugh, who wants to do that? I would love to do that. But Homecoming, and then of course the best thing about Homecoming is Michael Keaton's
My
Vulture.
friend's Vulture's
It's
fucking great.
just the moment that's, even when you know it's coming, you're like,
that
you just can walk up to it.
The tension when he's in the back of the car,
so good.
and Michael Keaton hasn't figured it out yet, and you're just watching it, and you're like, is he gonna say something that fucks him up? Like, holy shit, is he gonna learn here? He's gonna learn in a bit. And then it clicks, and there's that fucking amazing scene where Michael Keaton like looks at him in the rearview mirror, and they lock eyes, and you're just like, and you see it in Tom Holland, like, fuck, he knows, and you're like, oh,
Yeah,
it's so good.
Good, and that's where.
And what does he? And then that whole speech actually, where he's like, look, Pedro, I don't want to fucking hurt you.
Yeah.
My daughter likes you, and you seem like a good kid. So let's just fucking
stay out my way.
Stay out my way. Let's
we'll have
bygones
no
be
problems.
bygones. We'll have no issues. And then that dilemma that Tom Holland has of like, but I'm a good guy and you're stealing, you're being a bad. You know what I mean? I like Homecoming.
And
I like Homecoming a lot.
And one of the best things about that finale is that he'd had the big powerful suit, and it's got all the gadgets and all this kind of stuff. And
Kill
then when it
mode
gets to the end, they take it all away, and he's just in like a hoodie and a like
left with his fucking
and
web swingers and his shitty
and just
pajama suit.
His abilities, and he does it, and it's so good, and it ends great, and it's setting up a Sinister Six, but in a way of like, hey, we're gonna have Scorpion over here, we've got Electro over here, we've got Vulture over there. We'll see what happens. We'll get there, maybe. It's not just like, let's walk down to this room where we have all of the Sinister Six things ready to go. Like it's a fucking Amazon warehouse.
Spider-Man. So bad. Yeah, they don't set anyone else up, do they? They set up Vulture and Scorpion.
And I guess
Electro?
Yeah, because the guy with the gauntlet things.
Oh, no, but that's Shocker.
Sorry.
That's a different hero, pal.
I don't. Electro, Shocker, who cares?
I do.
Well, that's the Spider-Man, reading Spider-Man knowledgeable person, you know. And then, of course, we might have Alfred Molina's Doc Ock from Spider-Man 2.
Let's talk about that at the end. Let's finish the list, and then we'll have a very quick talk about what we're thinking
We
of.
can probably talk about Alfred Molina's Doc Ock now, because number 2 on the list is Spider-Man 2.
It made it! Number 1's the Spider-Verse!
What a great fucking... Did you see that fucking wee transition-y thing I did there as well?
It was good.
God,
it was good.
I've still got the podcast chops. Here's the thing about Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 2. Many people talk about sequels. You've got your Terminator 2s, you've got your Two Towers, you've got Aliens. Everyone talks about what are really good sequels. No one talks about Matrix Reloaded. Why would they? Fuck that new Matrix movie, by the way. I just don't want it. Spider-Man 2 is up there as one of... Empire Strikes Back. Can't believe I didn't say that one. But yeah, Spider-Man 2 is up there.
It's up there as one of it trumps.
It's
the best.
A perfect sequel.
Yeah.
It takes everything that it's built up in the first one. It develops it. It puts our characters in places that feel like progression.
Natural progression.
And it has one of the best movie villains. And I will stand by this now. Alfred Molina's Doc Ock is fucking amazing. Even though he's weirdly not in the movie that much, the path for that character, the arc that it goes on, and how it goes against Peters and the kind of friendship they have, so good. And everything about that movie is so good.
You probably noticed from my list, like, after the rewatch, it's a lot higher. Like, I think my words before were Spider-Man 1 and 3 are shit, and Spider-Man 2 gets a passing grade. And I will retract that. And I will edit it slightly to Spider-Man 1 and 3 are shit. And Spider-Man 2 is still a very
Spider-Man
good
1
movie.
is so good.
It's Spider.
I'll even say Spider-Man 3 is good.
You know what? I'm gonna fucking say it now. If you watch Spider-Man 1 as a standalone movie,
Yep.
holy shit.
Good.
No. If you watch that film and you had no knowledge that Spider-Man 2 and 3 were coming out today, if you watch that film today and you just left it at that, you'd be like, oof, Willem Dafoe.
If it came out today.
Willem Dafoe put in a shift, but holy hell.
Here's the thing I'll say about...
Holy hell.
I'll save what I'm going to say for when we get to the next film. But yeah, Spider-Man 2, like, where Peter Parker's at, the stuff with him and Mary Jane, like, struggling with...
The whole, am I going to be Spider-Man or do
am I going to be
Peter
Peter Parker?
It? Like,
starting to lose his powers, which is like a really interesting aspect to bring into it. I know that's from the comics and stuff.
No, it's cool. It's
they
really
have the
fucking
actual,
cool.
like, suit hanging out of the bin type of stuff. Everything with J. Jonah Jameson. Astonishing. Incredible. The fight on the train, so good.
Yeah.
Everything, like, his face when he's trying to stop the train, not good. It's similar to his crying face when Uncle Ben dies in the first one. Oh, we never even talked about, like, Bonesaw's ready.
Bonesaw!
Randy Savage in there. Great. Bruce Campbell in all of these films. I want to say his cameo in either 2 or 3 are my favourite.
2's the French restaurant? 3's French restaurant.
3's French restaurant. 2 is what he's like the guy at the door.
The doorman.
And he walks in and he's like,
the door
fix the tie. Like,
doorman.
And he finally gets up.
The
Like,
doorman's the best one.
can I help you? He's like, oh yeah, I'm here to see the show. He's like, yeah, you're not coming in. Like, after everything, he's like, yeah, you can fuck off. So good. Sam Raimi, Bruce Campbell, best connection. But Spider-Man 2 also has an incredible out of nowhere horror scene where the arms come alive.
Oh fuck! That scene is pure Evil Dead.
It's amazing.
It's quite literally, Evil Dead set in a lab. Like it's.
And Sam Raimi took that and snuck it into a 12A superhero film that came out in 2006 or something. And it's just like, it's amazing.
It's crazy.
And the stuff with
and it's so early in the film. It's like a fucking. Is it the opening scene?
No, it's after Doc Ock like had his big son thing blow up.
It's quite.
And his wife has
weird.
died. And he's in the hospital, and then like.
It's weird. In my head, I'm like, that's quite early.
Everything about it, the editing, the camera work, just the lighting, because they use so much lighting and shadowing to hide the violence that's happening. It's just so good. And the most mental thing is I watched Spider-Man 2, and I got emotional. I kind of welled up at moments because it's so effective with its characters at what it does and where it puts Peter Parker and his struggles between I'm in love with this woman, I can't be with her, and I have these responsibilities. And when he stops being Spider-Man, he's like, do you know what? Life is great. And he's doing great at uni, and it's like his relationships are good.
College? Uni?
Whatever the Americans are doing over there, those crazy cats.
Crazy kids.
I can get vaccinated, guys. And it's just like it's so emotionally, it just works for that character.
I think you're right. I think it does everything a sequel's meant to do, and it does it incredibly well. And it feels like they had a destination. I think a
Yes.
big problem for me with the first Spider-Man, why I do rate it so low, is it feels like you said, they don't have a blueprint to work on, and I think it really fucking shows in Spider-Man 1.
Yeah.
And it really feels like they were just like, well, we'll just do it and then it will end, and that's we have no needs to continue this. And then when the studio and everyone was like, we fucking loved it, can we get another one? He was like, all right, cool, I can do that, and maybe I'll even leave it open for, like, you know what I mean? Like, the whole thing is built in a way that it feels like it's gonna be continued rather than
the way it feels. Yeah, it's like for the first one, the studio were like, hey, Sam, go make this movie for us. He went, okay, and they were like, see you later. And he came back and went, here it is, and it did pretty well. And they're like, fuck it, give us a second one, Sam. People seem to like that. So then he fires that second one, does so fucking well, and then they go, hold on, we've got something here.
Yeah.
Give us a third one.
Do a third.
And you know what? We
want in.
Yeah, we'll take over this one,
We're
Sam.
gonna help.
Because clearly you need our help now, even though you've done it twice already. We need to get involved so we can get the McDonald's packed lunch fucking Happy Meal toys out there. And Sam's just like, hold on though, like I've got all these ideas for a fourth. I went, shh, Sam, calm down. We are Sony. We have such masterpieces as insert. Give me something.
Sony movie.
Can anyone think of something Sony has
Fucking
done
hell.
well? But yeah, Spider-Man 2, outstanding.
It is good. However, and let's just counterbalance it with the small. No, wait, Spider-Man. I was about to moan about Venom. But we've already done that. Ignore me.
I usually
Spider-Man
do.
2 good. Spider-Man 2 good.
And obviously, number one on the list. It couldn't not be anything else. But what is, and I think everyone has to agree with this, the best Spider-Man movie ever made
Fucking come out ever. It's phenomenal.
is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
It got in my top 10 list of all time movies because I didn't think anything from like recent years was going to make that list. And then that film came out and I was like, holy shit, that's incredible. I didn't think any superhero film was going to get on the list because I enjoy these films, but they're just dumb. But that film came out and
I love The Dark Knight and stuff. It's like, I'd probably never put it on my top 10 of all time.
But no, it fucking made its way in there. It's fucking great.
I remember, like,
It's such a good fucking movie.
you've watched it a lot. You've got
I haven't bought a film in years because I'm like, it's on Netflix or Amazon. I'll fucking steal it if I want to.
Please don't steal movies. Please support movies. Rent them, buy them.
Absolutely, get a fucking cinema card, pay for cinema tickets. But if it comes down to it, you want to watch a film, and Amazon's asking for £6 to buy it, and you know it's going to come on rental in the next 6 months, just fucking steal it.
Or wait and be responsible.
Fuck that. Anyway, my point being, I haven't paid for a movie, bar my subscriptions to fucking various things, in years. And then that film came out, and I was like, I'm buying it so I can watch it whenever the fuck I want, because that film is incredible. It's a masterpiece.
Yes, I would happily give it the word masterpiece. From front to back, that movie sets up, deals with, explores, and pays off everything it
puts
does.
down.
But here's the one thing I will say.
Don't do it.
Sam Raimi's Spider-Man had to walk so that Into the Spider-Verse could run. That is what I will say.
That's okay.
Because,
that's fair. That's very
because
fair.
Into the Spider-Verse is an amalgamation of all these different attempts at Spider-Man to become what this is. Like, they even like reference all of the other Spider-Man movies. In this one, they have the scene where he comes out of the shop and he's like dancing from Spider-Man.
It's like it's set in a weird. I know it's all kind of just as jokes, but it's kind of set in a weird place because it's technically set in the Sony Spider-Man universe. Because the Spider-Man at the beginning in Into the Spider-Verse is Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man.
Yes.
They've just changed. They've made him blonde, presumably to avoid a lawsuit, but. That is him.
Yeah.
It has to be him because he talks about shit that happens in Spider-Man 3.
With it being animated, it can get away with it.
It gets away with it. And on top of it being animated, it gets to do that, like, the thing that comics and animated things can do when they put in a fight scene, which is take it to that next level of just madness, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you don't, all of a sudden, you don't need to worry about gravity. And when you don't worry about gravity, it's fine because it's a cartoon. So if things don't move the way that I know they move because I live in the real world, that's okay. You know what I mean? Like, you try and do that in a live action setting.
Yeah, exactly.
It never works because your brain, no matter how much the movie tells you, like, yeah, look, this is a live action film, but gravity is different. When you see someone hit a wall and then take a second to drop, your brain's like, but that's not how that works. You know what I mean?
No matter how
can't
much
pull it out.
Ang Lee with his movie The Hulk tried, you can't. Just trying to make a comic book into live action. I mean, I guess the closest would be Edgar Wright's Scott Pilgrim. The closest like live action-y comic book.
But even that, it holds. It's weird because you're right. But even that holds true to anytime someone hits a wall or falls, it holds true to gravity. Gravity is such a weird thing in cinema. Like if you fuck with what people's perception of gravity is, you will ruin scenes, like entire moments. Lord of the Rings 2 is a prime example of this when Legolas slopes down the fucking elephant's trunk. And that scene
that's Return of the King.
Was that Return of the
We
King?
don't want Ryan to come and find you and shout at you.
Like that film, that scene should be fucking awesome. But because Legolas doesn't adhere to gravity, even though it's set in a fantastic setting, your brain instantly is just like, reject. Whatever I've just witnessed, I would like to fucking purge from my brain.
It's like everything that Neo does in the Matrix Reloaded and Matrix Revolutions. It's like, I know it's words. I know it's a made-up digital world.
Yeah.
But still, just like when he's doing the Superman-y, like bad CGI, it's just like
when if things don't move the way that we know they move in a live action setting, your brain rejects it. And Spider-Verse got over that by just being like, "Fuck it, we're doing animated."
And it's where Spider-Man belongs, I think, because it's just so beautiful to look at. It has the kind of splashy, comic booky, like arty stuff just like happening. Like when the spider comes down the first time and like gets Miles Morales and stuff, and like just the colors that kind of explode from it. But more than any of that, it's one of the most emotionally resonant films you can watch.
Holy shit.
And you know this about me, and Audio Boy, my flatmate, also knows this about me. I'm not an animated movie watcher person. I don't connect with animated movies. They don't work for me. Seldom do I, like, maybe The Iron Giant or like The Lion King, the original, not the fucking live action John Favreau disaster. Like, some of these movies connect to me, but for the most time, I'm just like, I don't feel anything because I know it's an anime thing. But for Far From Into the Spider-Verse, sitting in that cinema, first off, just being like, holy fuck, I can't believe how good this is. But by the end of the film, when I'm in fucking tears, when his
holy shit.
uncle,
the Prowler, Uncle Aaron,
and the whole uncle thing happens, I was just like, and he's sitting in his room and his dad's at the other side door just chapping, like, hey champ, how you doing and stuff. And I'm just like,
holy fuck.
I was just fucking done. I was like, this is amazing.
Kind of following on that emotional thing, like it's one thing that I love, and I think it's if you're going to make a movie and you want to have a villain, what every film should try and do, unless you're doing a horror movie where you have evil incarnate, right? Because that's a whole different kettle of fish.
Lucifer Safin.
Yeah. I mean, that's actually a prime example when it doesn't work when you do it. You know what I mean? Like, if you're trying to make a real world villain, you need to give your villain, you need to make them, what's the word? Almost relatable.
Yeah.
And that's why Thanos works. It's why usually the good Bond villains work, because you're kind of like, you're evil and mad, but I kind of see where you're coming from.
That's why Vulture works.
It's why Vulture fucking was incredible.
Works.
Walt
from Breaking Bad. Like,
so it's why all these characters work. And then you have Kingpin. So even though you've got the Prowler who's the bad guy, you have Kingpin in Spider-Verse, and you're like, Kingpin, up to this point, I think for the vast majority of people that just like Spider-Man casually, and that sounds like such a dickhead thing to say, and I apologize.
I mean, you've been fucking going at the audience all day today, so not surprised.
Like, if you're a casual Spider-Man, Kingpin at this point is just this vague, gigantic man who is evil. And in this movie, you've got him doing all that stuff, and then it reveals, and it's like, no, actually, he's just trying to get back to his family because they died, and they died because of a mistake he made. And that's why the whole film's come together in the first place. And it's suddenly you've got this villain, you're like, oh man, that's like, I want to hate you because you're Kingpin, but fuck, fuck, that's brutal. Sorry.
Yeah.
Look at me gush. And then when Spider-Man in that fight is like, I know why you're doing this. And you know he knows because he's just lost Uncle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, it's so fucking good, Gavin. It's so fucking good, Gavin.
It's one of the best origin stories for a superhero as well ever with Miles Morales. Of just like the way it plays out.
Yeah. And they did such a good thing with it. Rather than being like, here's Peter Parker. It's like, you know it.
Yep.
We're not going to fucking bother with Peter Parker.
Yes,
even the intros where it's like, yeah, and then we did this, we did that. I'm not going to talk too much about this. Anyway, here's me today. I got wrecked. And then instead of it being Peter Parker, it's like, and here's Miles Morales, and here's his, like, you know, it's different.
And then also, interestingly, having Spider-Man / Peter Parker as the father figure to an extent for Miles Morales, also with his other father figure being his actual father, of course. But just like, it's playing off of those, like, he's your mentor father figure, and then you're just your father figure for being a decent human being.
And like, you have a disconnect with your actual, like, and it's brilliant because you have an actual disconnect with your actual father, and you're struggling to relate and even talk to him. And yet this guy comes in and you're like having a full-blown relationship with him. There's just so much to love in that film.
The color, the music, the emotion, the characters, the writing, everything just came together in that movie so perfectly.
And to introduce the multiverse in such a crazy fucking way and do it in a way that just fucking works. Like, it doesn't feel...
I feel like that was the movie to get away with it.
Yeah, it's crazy though. Like, it's such a massive thing in the MCU, in not even the MCU, but in the Marvel universe to like land on people, and just to do it in an hour and a half, hour 40 minutes, just be like, yeah, look.
Also,
that's what it is.
The other Spider-Mans they brought in were so vastly different.
Yeah,
like
and they had to, and it was so good that they were.
Nicolas Cage is the
noir Spider-Man. You got the Penny Parker for the anime one. Spider-Ham,
voiced by John Mulaney.
Fitting Spider-Ham into a movie is just a testament.
When he brings out a cartoon hammer and just fucking like
the fact it works
so well. And then Gwen Stacy as well, but Spider-Gwen.
Spider-Gwen. It's just... Gavin, I could talk about that movie for so fucking long.
I mean, yeah, when it came to writing this list, even before I'd watched every single film, number one was Into Spider-Verse. And I just knew in my head nothing... Even when I rewatched Spider-Man 2, I'm like, this movie's so good. Like, it made me kind of really emotional and well up. I love it. It's such a perfect sequel. But I just knew it's nothing to what Into the Spider-Verse achieves and what it does.
No, Into the Spider-Verse is a fucking masterclass. And like, not just in a Spider-Man setting, it is actual just a masterclass in storytelling. Just as a movie.
As storytelling, yes.
Like, if you don't like Spider-Man, watch Into the Spider-Verse because it's incredible. Like,
and it's so approachable as well. You don't... Even if you haven't seen any of the other Spider-Man movies, sure, you won't get some of the references, but like you say, from a storytelling aspect and a character aspect, it'll just pull you in and you'll just be there and you'll be with it.
It's phenomenal.
Now, when they try to do the sequel Into Spider-Verse 2, they have such high expectations.
It's real.
Impossible expectations.
I'm so excited for that movie, but at the same time, you're right. There's no way in hell it's going to...
It's impossible.
I mean, if it withholds what's good is if it withholds a fraction of what the original did, it's still going to be a great film.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right. It's going to be so difficult for them to surpass it or even match it, to be honest. It's going to be such a difficult thing.
And then the other thing is, of course, this December we have Spider-Man Far From Home, which is from the first trailer. We're going to have Alfred Molina's Doc Ock. We're going to have...
Hello, Peter.
We're going to have...
Sandman's in it. Electro looks like he's in it.
Yeah, we're also going to have Green Goblin.
I didn't think that was... Oh, no, yeah, there's the bomb.
But then it could be James Franco's Green Goblin because he uses the same one, but then he's been cancelled, so probably not.
Talking very quickly, a little end of episode chat about this new movie. For the longest time, I was excited about the multiverse coming into the MCU.
Yeah.
And if you go back and listen to all the episodes of Meandering Movie Podcast, you'll probably hear me talk about it repeatedly, about how I'm buzzing for them to crack it open. And I think their handling of it has ruined my excitement because much like Thor Ragnarok, where they released it and everyone knew the Hulk was in it, it just kind of sucked all the enjoyment out because it was this film and they had this big twist. And I've said it before, if you watch Thor Ragnarok, the whole movie treats it like it's going to be a surprise, but it's not a surprise because everyone knows it's the fucking Hulk.
You're all waiting for it.
So we have this film coming out in December, and I'm sitting here, and my brain's just telling me, why be excited? Because you know these characters are in it. You pretty much know what's going to happen.
But they could do the whole classic Marvel thing of they troll you in the trailer and the things that happen don't actually happen. Maybe Alfred Molina's not in it whatsoever.
Genuinely, 100%, I would actually prefer that. I kind of... Or flip side of it, and my theory on it is it's actually going to be a very short portion of the film.
Yeah.
It's going to be the 10-minute boss fight near the end. And it'll be...
him and Doctor Strange.
The majority of the film will be him and Doctor Strange, maybe traveling through multiverses, maybe. But for the most part,
kind of
the spell going wrong.
Endgame style of like, we're in New York for 10 minutes and we're in Dark World for 10 minutes.
My theory, it's either going to be that or it's going to be them fucking up the spell. Peter Parker dealing with the ramifications of that in his own universe. And then in the 10 minutes at the end... it's all going to go to shit. Portals are going to open up. Everyone's going to get sucked into this universe. He'll fight 10 bad guys for 10 minutes and then they'll all get fucked off back to their own universes. But whatever way it is, And I'm so sad to be saying it, but I genuinely am not that excited to be. I'm genuinely not that excited for this new Spider-Man to come out.
I mean, you know me. Yeah, in fact, before I say what I was going to say, for you, that's a big thing.
That's
because
fucking huge.
As we run through this list of films, the one reason I wanted to do this with you is because of how much you love Spider-Man.
Yeah. I'll go see, final words for me, I'm going to go see Spider-Man Far From Home. I'm hoping I will be
pleasantly surprised. Currently, as Gavin has said, is a huge Spider-Man fanboy. And as a lover of these films, I am not excited. And I'm so upset about that. But I'm hoping I'll get pleasantly, yeah. I'm hoping I'll be the opposite of disappointed. I mean, yeah, for me, I didn't intend to rewatch all the Spider-Man movies and lead up to Far From Home. It just happened by chance. I'm glad I did it because I had actual fun rewatching all these movies again because I've not seen some of them in forever.
Yeah.
But me being me, and if you've ever listened to this podcast, you know what I'm like.
Miserable.
Yeah, I'm a miserable bastard. But but when it comes to the MCU at this point and movies post Endgame, I just don't care. Yeah. I don't care about the MCU anymore. I don't care about new movies. They did what I wanted. I got my end. I'm looking forward to No Way Home, I think. Not really. I don't care. I'll watch it and then maybe we'll do a podcast. We'll come back.
We might. I'm up for that.
Guys,
so, thank you so much for listening. It's been fun to be back.
The Meandering Movie Podcast has come back. I don't know when it will be back again. This was just an idea that I had. I want to get Gary in. If more ideas come to me, I'll get the boys back in. We'll record more, hopefully. This was not going to be a week-to-week thing again. This will be a whenever we want to thing again. So I want to thank everyone since this podcast ended who's come up to me and been like, hey, when's your podcast coming back? I really enjoyed it. Thank you. You've kept me sane and happy for knowing that this podcast worked for so many people. I only wish it was the same for the people who recorded it with me. So one day, maybe this podcast will go back to the way it should be. But in the meantime, this has been the Meandering Movie Podcast. You have been Gary Copeland.
Well, I'm Gary.
I have been... Fuck it, Big Daddy Gav. I'm back.
He's back.
I'm back, baby. And thank you so much for listening.
Thank you, guys. It's been good fun. We'll see you soon. We'll speak to you shortly. Hopefully.
Thwip.
I'm going to go piss.
It's Meandering Movies, listening to Gary, Ryan, and Gavin. It's all about films, but goes off course. Will there be arguments? Of course, 'cause everyone knows their lives are dull and they have nothing else to talk about.